Could everyone please stand?
I will lead your way, so I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And I will always love you. Will always love you. You, my darling, you. Bittersweet memories, that is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. Life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy and happiness, but above all this I wish you love.
Thank you for being seated. So we're having a few technical difficulties, so I'm sure we all know, so I'm just going to start it and then. Oh Lord, my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all thy worlds thy hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder. God,
scarce can take it in, that on the cross my burden gladly carrying, he bled and died to take away my sin. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart. Then I shall bow in humble adoration, and then proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art.
This is a sacred, special time and place where we can let tears flow and let laughter heal, where we will share stories and begin the journey of turning those stories into memories. We will hear from family and friends about some of their memories with Lonnie and see snapshots of his time here on this earth. We have gathered here together to mourn his passing and be grateful for his life. While we are here together today, there are no words to express the mixture of feelings that surround each one of us. Sadness for ourselves because this amazing man is no longer walking here amongst us. Sadness for his family. For a moment, I would just like to direct my comments to Uncle Bill, Lonnie's father. Thank you for bringing such an amazing man into this world. I want to acknowledge the deep suffering that you are feeling. I want you to know how very sorry we are for your loss and that our hearts break for you. I have never experienced the loss of a child. No parent ever should. I truly believe there is no greater void or feeling of loss than when a parent outlives their child. Lonnie's mom, Myrna, has predeceased him, but I know that she was there to welcome him to heaven with open arms. Lonnie's sister, Rhonda, and her family live in Utah and could not be with us here today, but we do send our love and condolences to them. To Samantha, Christopher, and Stephanie, Lonnie's greatest love. We are so sorry for your loss. Our parents are our first relationship, and so when a parent passes on, it feels like your anchor has been ripped away. We know that you're going through such a feeling of loss and of being lost, floating through time without the reality of time, because you don't have your person your anchor there anymore to ground you. I do not believe in saying that time heals all wounds, because it does not. It can't. The feelings may lessen with time, but they do not heal. Not when it comes to a loss like this, something so profound. But know that we love you. We are here for you, each one of us. As Lonnie has been a part of our lives, we become a part of yours. To honor this man who touched many lives, we will hear the stories, laugh and cry together, and acknowledge that we are each different because Lonnie touched our lives. I feel that speaking about Lonnie, his life, and how it has touched our own, in the time frame given, is an impossible task. But we have asked those amongst us to do just that, to do the impossible. And I thank each one of them for answering that call today. First, we're going to hear from Tanya Hart, Lonnie's cousin, who has created her own writing. She will be followed by Alexandria Bailey. Alex is a longtime friend of Stephanie's and of their family. We will then hear from Robert Hart, Lonnie's second cousin, followed by Robert's dad, Greg Hart, who is Lonnie's closest cousin and best friend. We will then have a short video presentation put together by Michael Hart, who is a cousin to Lonnie, followed by the eulogy given by Lori Price, who held many different titles in her long-standing relationship with Lonnie. Tanya.
So Lonnie, the people who loved you rose today, took a deep breath, and started another day without you in it. And I paused to think how they may feel, and what you would say to comfort them if you were here. If ever there's a tomorrow when we are not together, there's something that you must remember. You're braver than you believe. You are stronger. Although my life here has come to an end, and you have gathered here to say goodbye, I stand beside you. I can see you grieve. I feel the pain in your heart, and it is overwhelming. Stop a moment and picture me, your favorite version of me. Talk about the things we shared. I need to hear your laugh once more. Give strength to each person who shared my smile. See me in a special star you seek in a dark night sky. Hear me whisper to you through the leaves and the trees. Do you feel the breeze on your cheek? I am with you. Hear me laugh at the top of my lungs and the sound of loud pipes as bikes pass by you. Listen to the music I like. Roll down the windows and sing like no one is there. Then shake your head at my taste in music. Now for my kids. Who are the world? They'll just be random times. Suddenly you'll think, Dad would have loved this. Shout it out so loud that I can hear. That will speak volumes of me. Take that moment and continue living on for both of us. And when you feel pain, remember it comes from a place of having loved and been loved deeply. But you and I were, we still are.
So I was asked to read a poem today, so I chose the poem called Falling Limb from author unknown. It says, a limb fallen from the family tree. I keep hearing a voice that says, grieve not for me. Remember the best times, the laughter, the song, the good life I lived while I was strong. Continue my heritage, I'm counting on you. Keep smiling and surely the sun will shine through. My mind is at ease and my soul is at rest, remembering all how truly I was blessed. Continue traditions no matter how small. Go on with your life, don't worry about falls. I miss you dearly, so keep your chin up until the day comes we're together again.
I've also been asked to read a poem for you guys called The Final Flight. Don't grieve for me, for now I'm free. I'm following the path God has laid, you see. I took his hand when I heard him call. I turned my back and left it all. I could not stay another day to laugh, to love, to work, to play. Task left undone must stay that way. I found that peace at the close of day. If my parting has left a void, then fill it with remembered joy. A friendship shared, a laugh, a kiss. Oh yes, these things I too will miss. Be not burdened with times of sorrow. I wish you the sunshine of tomorrow. My life's been full, I savored much. Good friends, good times, a loved one's touch. Perhaps my time seemed all too brief. Don't lengthen it now with undue grief. Lift up your hearts and peace to thee. God wanted me now, he set me free.
This is indeed a sad day for all of us. I know my pain is incredibly undeniable. My name is Greg Hart, and I'm Lonnie's cousin, second oldest to Lonnie in a long line of cousins, second cousins, and now third cousins. Lonnie's mother, Myrna, was my mother's twin sister, Marlene. These two women were absolutely inseparable. Anyone who knew us back in the day knows we were raised to be as close as any siblings could be. To me, it felt more like we were brothers than cousins. We spent every weekend, special occasions, and most every summer together. From raiding the garden, rustling in the front yard, or lassoing some piglets. You know, actually, I seem to recall that last memory didn't turn out so well. Maybe I'll tell that one another day. You get the idea, we were always together. Well, that was when our uncle, Lonnie's father Bill, wasn't taking his family on amazing journeys all over the world. Lonnie saw more of the world before 10 than most of us will see in our lifetime. So Lonnie, if you didn't know this, was a bit of a shit disturber. I'm kind of an expert on this. I actually know I was with him most times when the shit was being disturbed, so I have a lot of first-hand knowledge. Whether it was coercing the kids into doing way too many shooters or convincing them, or me, to do something completely stupid, he was almost always successful. For some reason, it was hard to say no to Lonnie. I don't think the word no was actually part of his vocabulary. I remember one occasion where he got my boys so drunk at the bar one night, I actually thought my oldest son Robert, that spoke before me, might never leave the bathroom. Lonnie thought this was completely hilarious and he would absolutely do that again in a heartbeat. Robert's here, obviously. He needed out of the bathroom. It all worked out okay. Just took a few days, eh, Rob? Lonnie also liked to suck me into, or maybe he thought he was including me in whatever he was into at the time. After he got his Harley, he promptly went bike shopping for me so we could ride together. Of course, unbeknownst to me. So here I am at work one day and he calls me from a Victory dealership in Edmonton. He was so excited telling me that he found me the perfect bike. I had to come down there right now before it was gone. I wasn't looking for a bike, so I told him I was working as an excuse not to go. But he just said I had to come to the shop right then and there, no excuses. He definitely had a way about him. I found myself leaving work in the middle of the day to go see what he was so excited about. And 24 hours later, I was riding my new motorcycle. Turns out he got his way again. I had no idea at the time, and I wouldn't have thought it possible, but this one purchase brought us even closer together. From that moment on, and at a moment's notice, he would call me up telling me that we needed to take a road trip or just go for a ride out to the lake or around the city. Excuse me. He would always plan the day and I would just jump on my bike and go along and ride by his side. Now let me tell you then something about myself. When I travel, as some of you know, I'm the guy that goes straight from point A to point B. How can we get somewhere with at least a non-stop, no bathroom breaks, so we need gas? Don't you dare drink coffee before we leave. You know the type. Now let me tell you a little bit about Lonnie. He was the complete opposite. He was the kind of guy that when he took a trip, he would need to stop and smell all the roses. Sometimes to me, it felt like we were stopping at every rose. He didn't really stop to smell every rose, but it did seem like we would continually stop if, he could smell a stream, saw a pretty view, or just wanted to take a picture. At first, this was incredibly frustrating for me, but I will tell you this, by the end of that trip, I was so grateful he slowed me down. During our many trips, he showed me the bike. During our many trips, he showed me the value of taking my time. He showed me the value of taking my time to stop and appreciate the small things, not to be in a hurry and rush through life. Well, that was until he stopped by the side of the highway to check out a bear standing at the side of the road. Of course, that time I rode right by full speed ahead. I waited for him a couple miles down the road. It never took him long to catch up, again just wanting to catch that moment. Lonnie was always there for you, no matter what you needed. He would always be there to fix your car after you'd given it a try and failed. He'd never complain and always was happy to help. Lonnie used to fix my Grand Prix all the time in the old harder automotive. I kind of drove the shit out of that car. My bill always seemed to be $600 no matter what the problem was, and this seemed to go on for at least a couple of years. So finally I mentioned it to him once. I said, "Hey dude, my bill's always $600, what's going on?" I guess I should have kept my mouth shut. My next bill was $800. Lonnie was always coming up with ideas or things to do so that we could spend more time together. And that's how he came up with the idea to recreate our Grandpa Otto's sausage. Let me tell you, this sausage was the best sausage growing up. Everyone in the family could not wait for Grandpa to make sausage. Anyhow, he experimented with some spices a little bit, and when he thought he came up with something close, he gave me a call, and off to the races we went. We turned my garage into a small commercial sausage making operation. It was definitely a bigger go-home kind of venture. I remember the first attempt, like it was yesterday. Our grandpa used to drink 5-star whiskey while making sausage. And when he added his spices, he would take some of the raw meat and roll it around in his mouth to check the balance. Lonnie and I discussed this, and decided neither one of us was going to take on that tradition. But I decided we should keep the 5-star whiskey tradition. Sounded good to me. I called around and found a liquor store that actually still carried it, so off I went to make sure we had a bottle for our big day. The day finally came, the meat was ordered, the spices, the equipment were purchased, and away we went, setting everything up for our big day of grinding and casing sausage. That morning, of course, Lonnie thought it would be a great idea to have a shot first thing, and then just keep pouring us shots of that 5-star while we were getting everything set up. Oh, I'm sorry. The next thing I knew, I looked over and of course that bottle was completely empty. We were feeling no pain, feeling pretty good, laughing, joking, and just having a blast. That was at least until about 4 hours in, with those, say, about 8 hours left to go. We were coming down off that 5-star, which tastes like shit, by the way, and completely dragging our asses. But with 60 pounds of raw meat in the garage left to process, we had no choice but to power through. By 10 p.m., we were finally finished for the day. Valuable lesson learned. We never drank while making sausage again. I would say that first attempt did turn out pretty good, and with Lonnie's perseverance over the years, I think we got the recipe down pretty close to our grandpa's. After that first year, we also called in reinforcements and decided to make it more of a family affair for whoever wanted to come out and help. Secretly, we were getting a bit older and tired of doing all the manual labor. We needed labor. Kidding aside, it was so special to have everyone that could be there around when we were making sausage moving forward. I'm really looking forward to passing Lonnie's secret recipe, our knowledge, and these incredible memories and bonding moments on to the next generation, our children, to keep his spirit alive. Not only did Lonnie like coming up with cool ideas to do together, Lonnie was also the kind of guy who loved to shop, or to stop in and visit. Well, he shopped too. And he always came with the most thoughtful gifts. All the new babies in the family got new Harley outfits. Lonnie also never came over empty-handed, even if he didn't want to smoke a joint. Seriously though, throughout our life, Lonnie never failed to bring a smile to my face. When we were younger, Lonnie would always talk me into doing the dumbest shit. And usually I'm the one who would either end up hurt or in trouble. I always played along, and that's the way we liked it. Once I even ended up being taken to a medi-clinic on the way back from his house to be tested for drugs because of course he told our moms that the bag of pot he dropped in the kitchen was mine. No big deal, no harm done, my blood test was negative. Lonnie never took things too far, but he sure did like to push the limit. We never hated each other. There was a bond and an understanding that we had. And that's really saying something after 53 years of getting into trouble together. On a more serious note, Lonnie was truly so even-keeled. He loved and cherished his family and his extended family. Everyone had their special place in his heart, and he was true to himself always, and that's so very rare today. He never wavered in his morals principles, and he realized early that you truly didn't need to sweat the big stuff. That stuff would sort itself out. You need to take time, make time, and enjoy every moment with your family. Family was the true meaning of love and life for Lonnie, and he lived it in every way. I look up to Lonnie in so many ways. I have always and will always love him. He is truly more than my cousin. He is my best friend, my brother. I have no idea how to go on without him, but I know I have no choice. We will all need to learn how to. But remember this, don't sweat the big stuff. It'll sort itself out. Focus on family and doing things together that make you happy. Take the time to pull over on this road of life and smell the flowers. Look at the scenery and take a picture. Because you never know when you may not have that moment again. I love you, brother.
We're now just going to have a video presentation, and then we'll hear from Lori.
Same old boy, same sweet girl. 5 years down the road, there's gonna be a little one, and she says it's time to go. Doctor says the baby's fine, but you'll have to leave, 'cause his mama's fading fast, and Johnny hit his knees and there he prayed, take the very breath you gave me, take the heart from my chest. I'll gladly take her place if you'll let me. Make this my last request, take me out of this world. God, please don't take the girl. Johnny's daddy was taking him fishing when he was 8 years old.
I recall the night that you came into this world. I couldn't believe the doctor when he said it's a little girl. Oh, I said, now doc, you must be wrong. You see, I want a boy. Then he laid you in my arms and my heart sang with joy.
Town, just my boy and me, with a happy meal in his booster seat, knowing that he couldn't have the toy till his nuggets were gone. traffic light turned straight to red. I hit my brakes and mumbled under my breath. His fries went a-flying and his orange drink covered his lap. Well, in my 4-year-old said a 4-letter word. It started with S, and I was concerned. So I said, son, now where'd you learn to talk like that? He said, I've been watching you, Dad, ain't that cool? I'm your buckaroo, I wanna be like you and eat all my food and grow as tall as you are. We got cowboy boots and camo pants, yeah, we're just alike, hey, ain't we, Dad? I wanna do everything you do, so I've been watching you. Got back home and I went to the barn. I bowed my head and I prayed real hard. Said, Lord, please help me help my stupid self. The nest shot of bedtime later that night, turning on my son Scooby-Doo nightlight. He crawled out of bed and he got down on his knees. Closed his little eyes, folded his little hands, spoke to God like he was talking to a friend. And I said, son, now where'd you learn to pray like that? He said, I've been watching you, Dad, ain't that cool? I'm your buckaroo, I wanna be like you and eat all my food and grow as tall as you are. Fixing things and holding Mama's hand, yeah, we're just alike, hey, ain't we, Dad? I wanna do everything you do, so I've been watching you. With tears in my eyes, I wrapped him in a hook, said, my little bear, here's growing up. And he said, but when I'm big, I'll still know what to do. Cause I've been watching you, Dad, ain't that cool? I'm your buckaroo, I wanna be like you and eat all my food and grow as tall as you are. By then I'll be strong as Superman, we'll be just alike, hey, won't we, Dad? When I can do everything you do, cause I've been watching you.
When I got the news today, I didn't know what to say, so I just hung up the phone. I took a walk to clear my head. This is where the walk-in led. Can't believe you're really gone. Don't feel like going home, so I'm gonna sit right here on the edge of this pier and watch the sunset disappear and drink a beer.
I just want to say thank you to all those who made the time to be here with us today. Each and every one of you had your own unique relationship with Lonnie. Lonnie was born in Slima, Malta on July 6, 1967. Lonnie's mom, Myrna, told me that when he was born, she wasn't sure if it was the 5th, 6th, or 7th of July, so she picked the 6th. His dad worked in the oil fields and was overseas for the first several years of Lonnie's life. When his sister was born, they were living in South Africa. After that, they moved to Scotland. Lonnie started school there, however, some people were having troubles understanding Lonnie when he spoke. His mom was very concerned and took him to a speech therapist. The gentleman did some testing. He was sure it was a dialect, but he wasn't sure which one. It turns out he was speaking South African. He picked it up from his Zanny. Lonnie's sister Rhonda once told me a story when her mom and dad were working on a house on their property and fixing it up, and they were gone from morning till night. Lonnie was home with Rhonda. He was about 13, so Rhonda would have been about 10. Rhonda was convinced she would have starved to death had it not been for Lonnie cooking craft dinner for her. Lonnie said she exaggerated, but to a hungry 10-year-old, he was her hero. I met Lonnie online in the spring of 1999. Our first date was at Boston Pizza in the north side of Edmonton. My thing was, if he was willing to come up here where I lived, he would be someone that could compromise. We ordered a drink and chatted for a couple of hours. His drink was a paralyzer, mine was a beer. I thought to myself, I never knew any man actually that drank paralyzers, but as it turned out, they're delicious, and Lonnie loved his frou-frou drinks. Not a typical beer guy. We introduced our kids and blended the family. Trials and tribulations, chaos, love, and joy were just a few things that we experienced. I was used to a quiet life, but his life was more lively and quite a bit louder. It took some getting used to, but we managed to make it work. When we moved in together, it was very important to Lonnie that we find a place in King Edward Park, as that was where his mom was, and he wanted to be close by. He was very close with his mom, Myrna, and was always looking out for her. Samantha was born on April 10th, 1995. Lonnie was taken with her the moment he laid his eyes on her. That's what he told me. She was Daddy's princess. He was very proud of the woman she has become. And Sam and her dad shared many interests, most recently painting and drawing, and spent a ton of time together. As a youngster, Samantha spent almost every weekend with us. On Sundays, we would have brunch, usually an early supper, and then she would head back to her mom's place. I recall taking Sam back one day, and she asked when we were having supper. We'd already had supper. We were a bit confused by this, but I guess in Samantha's head she had a meal card, and it had only been stamped twice that day, breakfast and lunch. Try to explain brunch to a 4-year-old. And those pajama pants. It reminded me yesterday, we actually went out. She goes, I hope you don't mind I'm wearing pajama pants. I said, not my deal, I don't care. And those pajama pants. Every time Lonnie saw someone on the street wearing pajama pants, he had to comment. Sam did on occasion wear them out of the house, and it drove her dad crazy. But she was the only one of the kids that could get away with it. When Christopher was born on September 2nd, 2000, Lonnie was the first to hold him, and that smile on his face showed his pride and joy. Chris grew up around the shop that Lonnie had, Harder Automotive. Chris adored his dad and wanted to be just like him. He followed him everywhere. Recently, Chris bought a car and was doing some modifications on it. Lonnie spent a lot of time showing him how to do things and working with him to get it going. Chris, I guess recently, or maybe not so recently, had banned his dad from setting off fireworks at the lake. The last time Lonnie set him up, for reasons unknown to me, when they went off, they ended up shooting towards the crowd he was with, whizzing past their heads. Everyone was screaming, diving for cover behind the snowmobile, the side-by-side, in the truck, and it was, I guess, utter chaos. Lonnie and Chris would ride their motorcycles together. One day in the mail, a ticket came to Lonnie. Clearly Lonnie was speeding, but on closer investigation, it was actually Chris's bike that got caught on camera, although I think Lonnie paid that ticket. He was a kind, caring, loving, and compassionate man. And I will tell you, he had the patience of a saint. It had been a few years since we were in school, and some of the traditional teachings, especially in math, were not the way we had done things. Lonnie excelled in math and science, so he was a designated homework helper. I think Steph would agree. I remember on many occasions myself and Steph doing homework. I was frustrated, probably yelling, and she was crying, and Lonnie would come in from work, immediately sit down, calm Steph, and help her with her homework. One time comes to mind when he came home covered head to toe in drywall dust. sat down at the table and helped her finish her math before he cleaned up. This was his priority. His kids were his priority. Stephanie was born on April 13th, 92, and she met Lonnie when she just turned 7. She spent a lot of time with Lonnie and they had a great relationship. When she was young, she would go to Lonnie and ask for something. Because she had his undivided attention, she would draw it out for a long time. And after a good amount of time, being patient and all, he would say, at the end of the day, what is it you want? She would end her story abruptly and say, go to Chantel's house or have a pop or whatever it was she wanted. And then off she'd go. Even as an adult, she would call Lonnie with any sort of question. It didn't matter what it was. She knew he would know what to do and how to fix anything. She valued him, and instead of going out with her friends, she would go to the house just to hang out with Lonnie. I think probably because he cooked her supper. Because the girls were a bit older than Chris, many times it was just the three of us for supper. And anyone who knows me is well aware I don't care to cook. I recall the one time I was determined to make a great meal for the boys. It was sliders. I got the recipe online and I was confident it was a meal you wouldn't forget. It certainly was a meal you couldn't forget. I was very upset, probably crying. Lonnie was very kind. He made the best effort to try, but it was definitely the worst meal I ever made. The meat wasn't cooked, the buns were soggy. I think we ended up ordering pizza. But Lonnie was a wonderful cook. As luck would have it, we had a family dinner just the day before he passed, and it was made with his famous meatloaf. There was one taco night that all the kids were there, and Lonnie bought some of the soft taco shells. They weren't the regular ones he bought, because the store was out of the ones that he usually got. Chris went on and on and on the whole dinner, and he didn't let up that Lonnie had bought the wrong kind and how terrible they were. We were all aware of which ones not to buy when Chris is having dinner. For several years, Lonnie was involved in the Masons and the Shriners. He enjoyed the camaraderie with the men at his lodge. It was truly a passion of his and gave him a sense of where he belonged in that portion of his life. Lonnie encouraged Steph to join Joby's and attended many of her functions to show his support. Now, in keeping with the Shriners tradition, Lonnie purchased a ride-on lawnmower, and he was going to turn it into a fire truck when he was with the Shriners. Now, if you know Lonnie, he was a bit of a procrastinator, so after a couple of years, probably more than a couple of years, I said to him strongly, I suggest you take that out to the lake lot so we can cut the lawn. And begrudgingly, he took it out to the lake, and it was a great source of entertainment. He would drive the lawnmower tractor with a trailer on the back down to the lake and all around Corsair Cove roads with all the kids piled in the trailer waving at everyone they saw. He was very much the cool dad. Spider dogs were his special meal when the kids were young, and they'd get so excited that he would make them. The kids learned a great deal from Lonnie. He taught them to kayak, water ski, dirt bike, shoot a bow, quad, hunt, and fish, and how to drive a boat. They were all fortunate to have Lonnie to be able to teach them these things. On a sunny afternoon when we were at the lake, we had driven into Alberta Beach with the kids to get some ice cream. Driving back, we saw Tyson's truck at the Gun General store. Out of nowhere, Lonnie yells, "Stop the car!" He jumps out, unhooks the tailgate, and with the boys' help, throws it in the back of the van. There were two random people just standing there watching us, never said a word, just stared. We drive back to the lake lot, then we get a call. It's Tyson, and he is worked up. When he and Kim left the store, he turned around to back out, and he noticed his tailgate was gone. He was yelling so loud, Lonnie didn't even have to have the phone to his ear. Tyson was hot. So Lonnie, being that great friend, he played along and suggested he may have seen it in Alberta Beach. So perhaps he should go have a look. After about an hour and a half of running down all of Lonnie's suggestions, still very angry, Tyson and Kim came back to the lake lot. Tyson headed to his trailer and finds his tailgate tucked into his bed, and all you hear is him cussing Lonnie up and down. All in good fun. Occasionally something out of the ordinary would creep up and you knew Lonnie was stressed. He would run his hands through his hair like this, Then he would say, he'd excuse himself to go to the bathroom. Then he'd come out and say, maybe you should call your mom. Harder Automotive was a big part of Lonnie's life. It was something his mom participated in, and his dad as well. And all the kids were involved. A few of you here today were employees of his. He valued your friendship and enjoyed your company. It was a good place. He had loyal customers who valued his honesty and knowledge. He was an excellent mechanic. The shop staff were like family. He was involved in the RAP program from some of the local schools. The kids would come to the shop for a designated time frame, and he helped them achieve the required credits they needed and left them with some knowledge of what it took to be a mechanic. He was recognized for this through several awards and even featured in the newspaper. One day at the shop, Lonnie was coming in the back and a fellow was leaving out the back. Lonnie said hello, and he saw he had his dad's tailgate box in his hand, his new taillights that he just bought. And he assumed the guy had bought them off Bill. After a little while, it was discovered the guy was a thief, but the joke was on him because Bill's old taillights were in the box, not the new ones. Steph, Sam, and Chris, your dad and I recently were talking about you kids and life in general. He expressed his love for you and how proud he was of each and every one of you, and your accomplishments in life so far, and what wonderful young adults you've become. Something has stuck with me since that conversation, and it's how it became clear to Lonnie that you can't wait for a better time, more money, different circumstances. You realized that you had to live your life and not just drift along waiting for your life to start. Lonnie, you made such an impact on people's lives that you crossed paths with over your 54 years. We are all forever grateful for your kindness, love, and understanding, and we were blessed to have you in our lives. Lonnie, I want to thank you for being a part of my life, teaching me patience and how to be a better person. I will miss you more than you can imagine.
It's an important day when we gather to honor the life and mourn a death. Time stands still for just a moment as we stand here to acknowledge how Lonnie has touched our lives, has left an imprint on our hearts, and that our souls are eternally changed. Lonnie left this life on January 18th, 2022, but his spirit and the way he lived made a difference in each of our lives, and will continue to do so as each of us remember him in our hearts and carry the lessons and the memories of him and of his life with us. We are now representatives and the ambassadors of Lonnie's legacy. He gave us wonderful gifts of humor, kindness, graciousness, strength, acceptance, and love. Lonnie showed us how to live life to the fullest. He never held back, never wavered in his beliefs, and always gave everything and everyone his all. Each of us are his future and his memories. Lonnie has always wanted to, and would now want us to, enjoy the journey. Live life to the fullest and enjoy one another. Spend as much time as you can with those you love, as he did. May you go forward today with a small flickering of light in your soul. May the memories of Lonnie begin to bring you comfort rather than sadness. May the words, touch, and presence of others bring you solace. And may you be blessed in your coming in and going out, grateful for a life lived and his legacy left behind. I would like to thank our friends and family who shared with us a part of themselves and their memories in honor of Lonnie. He was truly one of a kind, was so loved, and will be so sorely missed. I ask you all now to join me in singing our closing hymn, Amazing Grace, after which we would ask the pallbearers to come to the front of the chapel. Those of you who wish to join us, there will be a graveside service just outside. But if you don't wish to attend, or if you can't, we will be hosting a small reception afterwards, so you're welcome. It's just across the hall.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear and raised my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. My chains are gone, I've been set free. My God, my Savior has ransomed me. And like a flood, His mercy reigns, unending love, amazing grace. The Lord has promised good to me.
been since you left? And here on earth, everything's different. There's an emptiness. Oh, I hope you're dancing in the sky. I hope you're singing in the angel's choir. And I hope the angels know what they have. I've been so nice, oh, ever since you arrived. So tell me, what do you do up in heaven? Are your days filled with love and light? Is there beauty? Is there art and invention? Tell me you're happy. Are you more alive?